Let's go! And ignore that really horrible Super Mario impersonation.
Let's go!
Hey everybody, TR here from Gluten-Free Crumbley, and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm excited to shoot my first how-to video on making gluten-free geeky food. For those of you who don't know, I love food and I love geeky things, so why not marry the two together in a bi-weekly segment that is yet to be titled and named. But that's aside from the point, right? So, today I'm going to go ahead and show you how to decorate a cake Super Mario style. And I wanted to go ahead and choose one of the most iconic items from that series, the Super Mushroom. Now, if you're anything like me, you're a living, breathing nailed it meme when it comes to making anything off of Pinterest. That's why today I wanted to shoot this video to show you both the smart stuff I do and how I correct some of the really dumb things I do along the way. The gluten-free cake recipe that I'm using today and the frosting recipe can both be found in the links in the description below and somewhere around here. So, let's go! And ignore that really horrible Super Mario impersonation I did. So, okay, let's go! Okay, so before everything, I went ahead and did some mise en place, which means I got everything ready in place and laid out. And as you see, I have a couple tools here to help me out along the way. First thing I have, one of the most important things, is the image of what I'm trying to create on my cake. Two cake spatulas. One is a longer end and one has more of a bevel to it so that it's easier to handle some of the smaller details. My frosting. I have made a red frosting for the mushroom cap. I have my plain white buttercream frosting here. And I don't really have the ability to make any dark black frosting, so I made as dark of a blue frosting as I could. And we also have our toothpicks and our handy dandy cake, which is, you know, not that important at all to decorating cakes. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we are going to take our long spatula, and I have my first cake on a plate here, and I'm just going to layer a thin layer of frosting here. Okay, so I've got my first layer of frosting here. This is going to act as a glue between the two layers of cake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top layer of cake and I'm going to put the flat side up and just line these two together. So the next thing that we're going to go and do is we're going to do the contouring for the shape of the cake. So I'm going to grab my knife, and before I do any cutting, I'm going to use my toothpick here to roughly outline the shape of what I'm going for here, which is this mushroom. I'm going to just draw roughly what I want. And the nice thing about drawing it directly on the cake is that you kind of outline what you're doing, and if you don't quite like it, it's okay, you can go ahead and redraw without having any kind of ruined cake. Because here you can kind of look at, oh, I want this shape, I want it to look like this, and once you're happy with it, then you can go ahead and make the cuts. Going to make sure that I like the angle that I have here, because I'm going to cut this down a little bit just to make the bottom of the mushroom look like it's a little bit more 3D. So they will say that that is good. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put a thin layer of white icing over the top. So that'll be just the top layer of icing, and the next step we'll go after that is layering the dots on top. And this is where having a big and small spatula will come into help, because you can use the big spatula in order to do the tops that are really flat, and I like to use the smaller one when I'm either doing some of the edge pieces or the sides of the cake. If you can't see, there's not a huge amount of icing in here left. Now I have a good amount of red icing here and some black icing, well, black influence icing there. So since it doesn't look like a huge amount, I'm going to be very conservative when I'm doing this top layer, and I'm just going to make it as thin as possible in order to get one flat white layer of icing on top. So what I'm doing here is I'm pretty happy with how this edge is looking. So I'm just going to smooth things out before moving on to the next step, which is doing the red icing. Next thing we're going to do is, rather than just going straight into doing the red icing, I'm going to I'm going to use my toothpick in order to shape where I want to have these white dots to go. So I'm going to do, and then once again, this is a nice way of just previewing what you want to see without going and doing it first, because if you do the red icing first and make a mistake, it's really hard to go back. With this method, I can draw my circle, and if I don't like it, I can use my spatula to smooth it out and effectively use this guy as an eraser. Oh crap. So if you look here, you can kind of see how nice and round the left side is and how lumpy and crappy that side is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and erase the crappy line I drew and try again. Alright, so now I've got my outline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my red icing, and I have a tip that will create a nice little star. Well, not small, but a medium-sized star, and I'm just going to fill in all of the red, or all of where I want the red, with red. So as you can see, I've done the red outline everywhere that I want the red to show up. So now I'm just going to simply go and fill in all of the spaces with red frosting. Now one thing that you might be able to see from here is that there are some spots where there are white little gaps where you can see the frosting underneath. These are super easy to fix. You just add a tiny little star of frosting and that will clear it up. I am pretty near the end of my red. So the main thing is I took care of all of the spots on top that needed to have the red. So I'm just going to be very careful, and as you can see on the sides, they may not be as deep as the other ones are, and that's because I just want to put enough on there in order to cover the sides. Okay, so I got my white frosting into the bag, and we're just going to go ahead and do exactly what we did for the red and fill in all the blanks. Okay, now right here you can see I made a really ugly frosting spike. It looks really gross, so I'm just going to come back and redo it. Damn it. Another way you can try to fix it is use a toothpick. Oh my god, I'm running out of icing! Now it's okay if you're running low on icing, you just want to be as stingy as you possibly can. F, I'm gonna run out. We can't do this. Come on. Out of the tube. Cover just one more stinking inch. Damn it. So, there might be one ugly little side, but that's okay, because we got most of it totally... Actually, we did. We got every little bit covered. Yay! Okay, awesome. So, we have our last thing, which is trying to do these little eyes. So, because I made a really small amount of icing, I'm just going to cut a little tiny slice to make a tiny little hole in my Ziploc bag. Go ahead and try it out. And I'm just going to put little dots where I want the eyes to be. No! Okay. So here's a case where a stupid little piece of icing got somewhere it shouldn't have. So how are we going to fix it? Toothpick. I'm just going to use a clean spatula to smooth this out. Okay, that mostly worked. Just gonna do one thin little outline. So there's a little bit of white. We're going to just add, if we can, a tiny ball of white icing. Okay. Now, last thing, you see that there's a few spikes that are a little bit high and a little bit jarring. What you can do is just use a toothpick to kind of make some of the spikes a little bit less daunting. Ta-da! Mushroom cake! Alright, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this first video. Give me recommendations for any kind of geeky food things that you want to see, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!